pray with us. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege to be here tonight and to gather together as a board to make the decisions that affect our county and our teachers and our students. We are extremely thankful to be able to begin our board meetings with prayer and be guided by superintendent and administrators that put you first in their lives. Please be with us as we make the decisions tonight that affect our school system. We ask all these things in your precious name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Are there any additions, corrections to the agenda?
Move we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we adopt the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'd like to welcome all of our visitors. This will be a time when we're going to get the Bronson to introduce yourself in a minute, like always, Mr. Coward. But if this is a time for public comment, so if anybody would like to address the non-agenda items, now would be the time. Seeing none. Can we start over here, just introduce yourself? Okay, like your full name and where you're from.
Turbeville.
Okay.
Abigail Martinez of Brazil Valley.
Eli Martinez, Marvin Ramirez.
We have two other students, right?
Martha Hayden, Syracuse School.
Right.
Craig Campbell, Syracuse.
Right. We're glad you're with us tonight.
Mr. Etheridge.
Yes, sir.
Marvin back here, prepared to make a speech tonight.
Okay.
Go for it, Marvin.
Well, this was cast upon me suddenly, so I do not know what to give this speech about. And forgive me for using any sort of layman terms, for I do not speak what is known as government ease. I'm proficient with this. All I can say is hi. Welcome these guests that have just arrived that are also from my school, Bronson, the seat of Norfolk County. And I really can't say much here.
You've done well.
Very
You
well.
did
Thank
good.
you.
I like putting Marvin on the spot.
And Marvin, you've also helped out at the gala and the Beast Feast, correct? So he's been a Schools Foundation volunteer, so represent the Bronsonville High School, so he does a good job, so.
He's a senior, too.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, we've had two new walk-in.
I'm Trevor Hammer.
Lily.
It's nice to have Boston students that come every
How much
year.
extra credit do you get?
It's not extra
It's not
credit, it's
extra.
for 300 points.
Right.
kudos to Ms. Schuler. for-
Those questions you asked, are y'all graded on the answers we give you?
Yeah, we're graded on the questions, the answers, we're graded on like how many are present, the start time, the end time, pretty much everything.
All right.
All right. Well, we're happy tonight to have Syracuse School. Ms. Catherine Lawrence, would you like to introduce
Sure.
those who present tonight?
Sure.
I'm here to share what's going on this spring at Syracuse School. We're excited about two unique projects. And to help me with the presentations are our two teachers that are involved, Hillary Davis and Christina Hackey. And helping us also are two of our students, Peyton Campbell and Micah Haven, who have already introduced themselves to you. I'm going to start by sharing one of the projects, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hillary to speak more to it, and then Tina Hackey to talk about our second project. So I have a flyer for you all. I'm going to send this to you electronically because the links are live, and you can go where I'm going as well. I want to make two announcements before I highlight these two projects today. If you look at our Cedar Key School calendar on the district website, you'll see that this Friday at 2 o'clock, Jasmine Jackson has been assigned with Grinnell College. And so she's a student athlete that's getting a track, a basketball, and an academic scholarship, and she's signing at 2. So if you want to come to Cedar Key on Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, Jasmine is signing, and the whole student student population will be there to congratulate her. Also, at the end of the month, I'm sorry? Oh, sure. Also, at the end of the month, April 26th, the last Friday, it is Cedar Key's 29th Young Authors Conference. And so for half the day, we'll have writers on campus. We'll have students reading their own works. That's always a big thing at Cedar Key School. So please come to Cedar Key. We're doing some great things. It'll be fun. Let me tell you about these two projects. The first project is called Rooted in Resiliency. This is a joint project that University of Florida asked us to partner with them on. And it's also a project with City of Cedar Key and the Historical Museum. This is a one-of-a-kind project in the United States, I will tell you that. University of Florida got a grant to map the downtown area of Cedar Key, to laser map it with 3D equipment so that those buildings in downtown Cedar Key can live online in a 3D world. Then they are looking at, the project looks at what happens with sea rise and with water events on the downtown area. What buildings go under, by how much. So the University of Florida has done that part of the project. What they've asked our students to come in and do is to look at 6 buildings that are downtown, and what they are asking our students to do are to interview the people that are connected to those buildings, research those buildings, and do a living history of those buildings. So the whole project will live online. You can ping one of the buildings. Our students' videos will come up where they're interviewing the person that's in that building, and our students' story of the building that they have written will be on that website as well. It's been interesting. It started this spring, but you know, Matthew just happened. And so we talked about when Matthew came along and wiped out the city of Mexico Beach, what is going to come back? You know, things that are totally gone. That's where resiliency comes in. Who's going to come back? Who's going to rebuild? Who's not, and what is lost? So that's our project in Cedar Key. We know that a hurricane has already taken out Cedar Key once, and it moved from Encita Odie to the mainland. And so now, if we have water events with this 3D mapping, what's going to go under, what could be lost, what will be lost, our students are telling the story of those buildings. Really cool. So I'm going to let Ms. Hillary go from there to tell you, because she and the students have been doing the project. I've just given you that overview. Mrs. Hillary Davis, she is our history teacher, and she and the students have been going downtown and doing the work of the project.
So our first goal with working with the University of Florida and the students was to take them downtown to their buildings. And the students were each assigned, I think there's no more than 3 per building. And so we went down and we had video interviews that we did with the residents of these buildings or the owners of these buildings. And the students had questions that they developed to ask them about what their historical significance was to Cedar Key and what would be lost if these buildings were lost. So with the data that they gathered, they were to go back to the school and collaborate on the important stuff for it. Then we took them on a walking field trip to the Historical Museum, where they researched more into their buildings. And just recently today, this afternoon, we all got together and all of the students sat down with the University of Florida and myself, Ms. Jenny Lynn, Ms. Lawrence was there, Ms. Lisa Smith was there because she was helping us on the project as well. And the students basically got all their information together, came up with a timeline of events of the history of their buildings, and came up with a narrative which is going to be placed on the building, so that when people visit the website, they can click on the building, and the narrative and story that the students wrote about that building will be available to people, and also the videos that students recorded interviewing the owners of the buildings. So that's where we are right now. We've got a few more things to do with them. They're going to come back and show us the videos and images that we uploaded and how they're incorporating them in the websites, and the students will be able to give them feedback and work with them through the rest of the process.
So let me share what's online so far about our project. This is the blog of Dr. Frank at the University of Florida. And she's keeping a blog on the entire project. And so she updated it with the work that we did today. And you will see, this is the part that we're working on with the University of Florida. These are our 6 buildings. All of these links, here's the 3D digital data you can click and see what the map is looking like downtown. These are our students. One of the historical buildings is the Methodist Church. One is Drummond Bank. These are our students when they went downtown to do their interviews, as the story said. One is City Hall. University of Florida took them out to lunch the day they did their interviews. And then before we got involved, you can see what they had done before. You can visualize the flooding in 3D in Cedar Key. You can see their 3D maps. And then you can see how much the storm surge inundates the city of Cedar Key. You'll see Mayor Davis riding around in her name. So this is where the project and the blog is right now. And then we have a separate website with all of our students' work, where they drop the pins on buildings and you can pull up our work. Pretty cool. Anything else in store? Okay. We do have a folder for you all. You can see our timeline and our work we've done so far and the work to be done next. So now I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Christina Hackey to talk about our rocket project. And Ms. Tina, you just let me know what you want me to show up here. Christina Hackey came to us from Citrus County. She is a rocket scientist. And, all right, you've got to tell me how many national award winners you've had.
I started this in 2011 when I was a 5th grade teacher. I got one of those emails that most of us just delete, but it said something about rockets. Like 10-year-olds, explosive devices, that sounds like a party. So obviously, I opened it. I got a grant for just my 5th graders that year. It was great, it was fun. We did it. I didn't think anyone actually won. I think that was the 4th annual contest. I've done it for 8 years straight. This will be the 9th year. I'm very, very pleased that I was able to get funded in this county. In fact, in my phone interview, I was in New York City with Kathy. I'm like, okay, so if I come to Levy County, can I still do rockets? He's very excited about it. Let me show you this quick video. Because without the funding of very generous people that believe in students and STEM initiatives, this would have gone nowhere. I started with a small $250 grant for just my class from the Gammons Foundation. I then was able to expand it when I went out of the classroom and was a teacher on special assignment and was able to work with the entire population. I expanded it to the entire school, which is a little bit larger. But anyway, I'd like you to see this short video made by a film student for the Citrus County Education Foundation, which the state, each county has an education foundation, but honestly, without their support, so much that happens in the classrooms would never happen. I know it's talking about Citrus County, but what Levy County does is just as fantastic as what Citrus County does. It's another one of the state foundations.
Grant we received through the Citrus County Education Foundation. Construct their own rocket, and they launch their rocket here at the school, and the winner advances on to a national competition. So without the support of the Citrus County Education Foundation and these many grants that they offer to the students and to the students wouldn't have these opportunities, and they are very eager to be able to participate in them. I could not do what I do without the CCF grant. I have been running a rocket program for, this will be the 7th year. I think it changes kids' lives. I've seen kids with zero interest in science, all of a sudden now they're interested. I don't want to take a chance of any child not being able to participate because their family can't afford a rocket kit. So with this, no child has to pay, but every child gets to participate.
My brother was a national rocket winner, and I got to go with him. I got to see him shoot off a rocket.
I got to meet a real rocket scientist, legit, like I am a rocket scientist, that attended this very school as a kindergartner. He brought in another engineer as well, and all 6 5th grade classes got to Skype with them for an hour, asking any questions they wanted to about space and space exploration. They asked, how do you go potty in space? Next year, applied for another grant, and it happened again. So it's been used.
So speaking of Homer Hickam, I don't know if you guys know, this is part of the competition that I do. Homer Hickam is the author of Rocket Boys that was turned into a movie in 1999, 20 years ago. Mind blown. With Jake Gyllenhaal. It's the story of kids in rural West Virginia, in Coal Town. This is very relevant, especially doing this in Cedar Key, because you have rural, remote town. It's not coal, but it's plants. This thing. Yeah, we're playing charades. And a lot of these kids, excuse me, have a hard time envisioning something beyond borders. So these kids, sparked by the Sputnik and the space race, did all of the, in case you are not familiar with the story. So it's highly relevant with the kids. Part of the project is to actually see that movie so they can really make that creation. I've had the opportunity to meet Homer 3 times. The one that I went to in October, I got out of school for, it's at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama. He surprised us. I didn't know he was going to be there. It was really awesome. I've had 8 national winners. I don't win every year, but I've had 5 years in a row where I'm praying for number 6. And if any of you guys are, hold on, I apologize.
If you go back to the handout and click it, it'll be live.
I apologize. Ramadan? Oh, I scrolled. I see what you did.
Scroll down.
So when I'm doing things with the kids at school, I love to just have the little website. Yes, I got to ride one of those really awesome things. It looks like it's going to make you puke. It doesn't. Super fun. So the first part is the research, where they have to do a career cluster activity to see, based on their interests, what possible STEM careers they could go into. And then they can research it on the next set of sites. And they have to, kids don't really understand how much it costs to go to college and how much bang for your buck you're really going to get. I have a very close friend that they have their master's in something, that they went to a private school, and now the best job they can get is like an assistant at the Ellie Schiller Homosassa Springs Wildlife Park, which is a great job, but they can't pay for their student loans on that. So doing this is essential so they can see, okay, this is what I'm interested in, but can I afford it? What colleges do I need to go to? How much is that going to cost? What is the starting salary when I get out versus, because they see, oh, I can make 6 figures. Yeah, after 20 years, what are you really going to make when you come out? So a lot of it's really relevant to their near future. They think it's a far future. It's not. So they start with that. And then, in case you guys want to see it, Miss Kathy gave you guys the link. These are various times that we've been in the news. So just since 2015, but it's been going on much longer than that. Like I said, I started in 2011, didn't win that year. Second year I won, I was like, there's a winner. Didn't win the next year, but then the 6 years after that, and twice I've had 2 of the top 5 nationals. And it's between the ages of 10 and 18. So my little tiny, on the board, little tiny 5th graders. There's a senior walks in. What are you doing here? He beat you. It's not about ages. And the point is to launch the rocket and land it as close to the target twice. So it's not just pure luck. They have to do it twice, and it's the best national average between the 2 launches. Closest I've ever had was 3 foot 4 inches. They sound like a big deal, but when it's going 150 or so feet in the air, to get that close to the target is really awesome. And the reason it matters is that's where your human resources are, is in the nose cone. And that's what they care about, is doing or they need to. Any questions? And my students, really, I know I'm taking up too much time. Tell them something about the build. That's another hard part. We cannot help them build, only give moral advice. They have to do it 100% themselves.
We had to get kits for this, certain kits that only have to be certified, and they came with the parts that only we could use except for the dangerous part of cutting this part with a knife.
I don't let them use the razor knife. I got permission to use that because it's so much paperwork when they cut their finger off. You guys know that.
And we had to do this in a certain way to where we made no mistakes so that when we launch, it will fly the correct way and hopefully land where we want
How about you, Peyton?
to.
Well, it included a lot of glue, and you like had to tie like special knots and stuff, so it doesn't like when you launch it, doesn't like fall apart.
Those are fun to watch. They're not fun for the kids, the ones that fall apart. So they've only gone through the building part. And you guys will get invitations to come to the actual launches. I generally don't invite people to the building because it's so hard even for me to not touch the rocket when they're doing something wrong. And I'm like, you're looking at them trying to like use body language, like, no, this way. But they have to do it all themselves. And then even on the launch, they have to make their own choices with the trajectory and which direction they. And so you watch them going with the wind and the target's over there, and you're like, are you sure that's where you want it to go? Okay. Yeah, so the next part is to actually launch it. So you guys will definitely be invited in. Anything else?
So that's the first time that they'll launch it, when you
Yes.
invite everyone down?
Yes, and like I said, the goal is for every child to launch the rocket twice. Not everyone will, because some of them will become tree ornaments, to be honest with you. They're quite, because you can't control the variable of wind. So we pray for the wind to be nice that day, but at least half of them will get a second launch. Some of them will fall apart. You know, but that's part of science. If any of you have seen the movie Apollo 13, you may have remembered when it actually happened. It's not perfect. Rocket science is not perfect. Things happen, and you have to work around it. And that's part of the lesson, is for them to make changes and make it better the next time.
They still have the little cardboard thing that you put up in it?
Yes, yes. Part of it, and I also bring in the standards of, you know, what a good science experiment is. You know, you want to limit your variables. So everybody uses the same kit. Everyone uses the same engine size. The one variable that's very important they all see is whether or not they follow directions, because most of the fails happen if they didn't follow directions. And then, of course, the wind. You can't do anything with that. Yeah.
Okay, I never built a rocket. What's this engine and what's this fuel and how do you
Well-
shoot it off and all that?
It's just a little gunpowder.
Cool.
What could go wrong with that? I've done it over 800 students. So I don't want any of you to be like, why is this woman doing this? So it's a small cartridge.
Okay. It's got
A little
gunpowder.
bit of gunpowder and then
How you-
that one's spent.
What do you do? You set it on
Yeah,
fire?
and you actually, that's another standard you're addressing is you have to complete the circuit. It's actually an electrical igniter. So you have the igniter there, and then when you complete the circuit by pushing the button, it ignites it, the fire goes off, and then you get to teach them a lesson about, this was a fun lesson. Do you remember that? Maybe it wasn't your class. But how gases build up, because they're like, why does the parachute, why does that pop off? And then I talked to him about, I'm like, Uncle Joey eats too much at Thanksgiving. What happens? His gases build up. It's gotta go somewhere. Now you're laughing, but that's a real life, those real life comparisons, that's what they remember, and it's the same concept. When those gases build up, the pressure builds up, pops the nose cone off. That's what deploys the parachute. Any other questions?
Aiden, what's been the toughest thing so far?
Reading the instructions.
You mean all of the steps mattered?
How about you, Mike?
I just get some of it.
Put the little rings on this too.
It's a funny lesson because they have to learn the difference between their head and their tail. Not all kids this age do that. Because you have the head of the rocket and the tail of the rocket. I'm like, you have to put the head through the tail, and they're like, what? If you do it backwards, then you can't get the internet. So it's, yeah, a lot of real life lessons that end up going into this.
So when will the launch be?
We're in
9th and 10th, I think it's on your flyer. Is it at the bottom of your?
Okay, good luck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. I also got funding to do it in Yankeetown. I don't have those dates yet. And I know how busy you guys are in different places. So between all the different launch dates, I'm hoping that all of you will be able to make it to at least one. Because I have to have like official people to be the judge. It's over 2,000 kids compete in this per year. So it can't be just Miss Hackey's work. There has to be like principal, sheriff, school board member, like somebody to sign off that the results are legit. Oh, yeah. And I will tell you, most of my rockets in the trees. My favorite was I landed one on a power line, the parachute on one side, the body on the other side. I'm like, NASA couldn't do this if they tried.
So do you shoot them all at one time, or you? One at a time?
No. What they have, everybody uses the same things. Once again, you want to like limit the variables. So everybody has the same launch pad. They go towards the same target. The fewer variables, the better. And if they do win, the winning is the top 5 in the nation. They get invited to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, which is where space camp is for any nerds out there like me. Super cool. We get like a private tour. We get to go back and do stuff like that. Really awesome.
Mr. Chair, I don't have a question, but I will say, whenever we hired Ms. Hackey, I did have a text from a friend who's a Citrus County School Board member just saying what a treasure and what how lucky we were fortunate to have.
He came to all my rocket things.
He was, so it's been a great job, Ms. Kathy. I appreciate you doing this. So Ms. Glory, appreciate you too. So in case anybody doesn't know, so Austin went out. So we've got another teacher, Ms. Haven. So one of our moms here. So and then our dean of students, so Ms. Kelly is here also.
And she saw me do it back in Citrus County, but she was my 5th grade colleague. So she's seen it through a lot of iterations. A lot of rockets and space.
Not to embarrass the other 2 parents that are here, so they're both good Lincoln County graduates, so one at TRT Sharp and one grade level there, Mr. Etheridge. And Don, I'm going to put you on the spot. You got a promotion not too long ago. Would you share what you do?
Sure. That was Sean that actually got promoted recently, but on that district chief at the fire department.
And also teaches at our college, so, and also does some search and rescue. So very proud of our senior key graduates and just all of the key graduates. So.
The first time I met him was when Cheryl Beecham and I called a Lee County van on fire, and he put it out.
That's awesome. And it won't catch anything on fire, it's where it's just a little bit of gunpowder.
And his mom was our reading coach and then a kindergarten teacher and everything in between, so a valuable resource. So.
Thank you all for having us. And you come, join us when we do these things.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And is it okay if I leave that there? Yeah. I'll leave that there, y'all look at later.
You must know.
We'll take like a 5-minute recess, that way, we need to travel back to see the key. Be excused. 5-minute recess. We'll call the meeting back to order. Mr. John Lott, press approval of Bill School Board Policy 64527.
Yes, good evening. These are two policies that we have previously brought to the board, asking for permission to advertise, and also to give the public a chance for public input on these proposed policies. If you remember, 6.52 was a policy that we had to write in response to, it's in response to statute, but also in response to the Auditor General, who said, we have to have a performance-based pay for administrators just like we do teachers. And so that's how that was created. Any questions or comments on that? It is. And, as far as the amounts, actually Ms. Lake did it is she tried to take the teacher performance pay and then compare it to administrative performance pay based on beginning salaries of those two. And so that's try to make them as equitable as possible.
Move approval. Second. Move to second, we adopt School Board Policy 6.52. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. 7.01.
7.01, remember when the board created a policy for the 5% financial condition ratio, there was some language that was in the policy that was changed that was accidentally amended, removed. And Ms. Lake caught that and wanted to basically put that language back in that should not have been taken out, but it was. And it's on the second page in red.
Second. Move to second approval of 7.01. Any discussion?
Can you give me an example of when that happens?
7 point, the fund balance?
Yeah.
At the end of the year, when I do the annual financial reporting, I have to be able to assign some of those categorical dollars without coming before the board and getting your permission every time. In essence, you do approve it when you approve the financial reporting, but it allows us to make those categorical distinctions between assigned and unassigned funds in those fund balances. And those are earmarked for projects that you have already, in some form or fashion, approved.
Okay, I just saw that and I just couldn't think of the reason why. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Mr. Watt. Move to item F. 2019-2020 school board meeting dates and timelines. Mr. Superintendent.
So you have within your budget, see the recommendation for the dates and timelines. And one of the things that you need to consider is, I know there's going to be one meeting in December because the second meeting in December is Christmas Eve. And so the question
asking for the November 4th meeting,
November 26th.
November 26th.
And you can see on here in the red, like up in July, there's because of the trim calendar, different board meetings will be canceled. You know, that there's more meetings, you know, the trim calendar that you already approved. It's up there in July. And then in September as well.
So we move the 26th of November, that would be the 25th, would be the Monday.
It's just your choice.
We'll move it to the 25th tentative, and then, you know, depending on different business, so.
Make that
So was that an amendment to move to the 25th with an if?
A tentative. Yeah.
Is that formal? To the, is that a formal amendment to the recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Last second. Okay, so we have an amendment on the floor to change November 26th to November 25th, 2019, and that any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We'll probably go without order, but, because I don't know if anybody has a motion on the floor to accept this, but is there a desire to accept this and this?
Yes, I move we accept the proposed meeting dates as changed.
Can I make a comment, please? That means the November 12th meeting will have to be at night time. Correct? Yeah.
As changed.
As I previously amended before, we had made motion on the floor. Okay. All right, so we, I think we still have another. Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, now we'll open it for discussion. Do we, the December meeting, does that have to be done with us?
No recommended.
Okay, so there's no.
There would be no
corrections?
sections.
Yeah, Tim will be the last one. Right. Are there any other additions or corrections or amendments you'd like to have to the calendar? So we would like to vote on the school board meeting dates deadline as amended. Is there any discussion? Never done it back. If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Council, pull ourselves all the way through.
Hey.
All right. Yes, sir, 1920 school visits calendar schedule, visit schedule.
Yes, sir, you see the recommendation there, I know the Cal has a recommendation.
I'd like to move the Cedar Key date because that is the Tuesday following the Cedar Festival. I'm sure those folks after working hard on Saturday and Sunday all day would love just a little bit of a breather to kind of get things cleared up because there may be things all over the place.
I'll switch.
Sure.
Well, the only reason, and I'm just trying to figure this out here, the September 24th, there's testing in the high schools, so that's why it is what it is. You can probably, just my recommendation would be switched to, because that'll be makeup testing, that'll be for like, one EOCs and stuff like that. So you might want to swap Yankee down to Cedar Key. That would be my suggestion.
So there was a recommendation to swap Yankee Town visit and Cedar Key visit.
Move approval with change.
Yes, we're fine. We're moving approval of the superintendent's recommendation that the Cedar Key Yankee Town School take speed park.
So we amended it before we made the motion, so. Yep. Part of the procedure class tonight. Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
About that,
I didn't. Item H, approval of minutes of the March 26th board meeting. Is there any additions, corrections? Any discussion? Not, I'll entertain it.
So. Second.
It's been moved in second to approve the minutes of the March 26th board meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item I, the consent agenda. I know you all had an opportunity to speak to the superintendent about the agenda. Is there any questions that you would have at this time? We'll open the floor.
I'm happy to see that Susie's daughter's going to be helping out and coming back a little bit. She's great.
It's just a comment, so it's time this year, we got some great additions that we have some, a lot of folks are going to retire that gain a lot of experience with.
My one comment would be that, appreciate all the hard work Gerald Ward has done throughout the years. Hate to see him go, he deserves a great retirement.
I would have to ditto with Ms. Lane Breeden. I looked at this earlier. Ms. Breeden started at Williston Williston High School when I was 10 years old. And it'd be hard shoes to fill. She's been there a long time, done a great job, so she's a staple of our school.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? There's been a motion to approve this consent agenda. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item J, superintendent's recommendations and comments.
I think most of y'all want to handle a lot of my comments, but it's just a very busy time of year. And I know we're going to be going around in banquets and things closing, so that's good. And I appreciate all that you do for all of our schools. We do a lot of stuff that's unrecognized.
Short and sweet. Thank you, superintendent. Board comments. We'll start on that one tonight, Ms. Quincy.
Okay, hold on.
She's got
I have some notes. Stan and Matt's have been busy. Yankeetown started a new club, it's a SWAT club, Students Working Against Tobacco. So it's a club that's, especially that part of our county, it's a great organization for the kids to get involved in because tobacco usually is a gateway to some other things. So Thursday, there's an FSA science guy that's coming to do some practice tests with the Yankeetown kids. So that's exciting. The field days, like you said, Jeff, it's a busy time of year. Field days, 9 to 11:30 on Friday. And the kids are working really hard on the spring showcase. So artwork, science projects, there's a lot going on in Yankeetown.
Is this science guy, is that Steve Wilson?
I don't know. I asked the name. She
think
slipped
it
the name.
It is.
Is it?
It's worthy to go watch.
Really?
It is.
Yeah, she's really excited. All the kids are excited about it, so,
If they will be.
yeah, yeah.
That's a good job.
It's a busy time of year, so.
Mr. Hasbro.
I don't have a whole lot. As I talking about the busy time of year, we received an email with a list of things going on. It's really kind of cool. I like getting that email because it helps me figure out where I want to be. The only thing, we met on our strategic planning committee, and that was very enlightening to me. And I think we got some great things going on. Ms. Hires handling that wonderful. And I feel so. I don't know if others on those committees feel that way, but I'm learning a lot. And it's really neat, some great ideas, and get some insight. It's kind of cool. That's all I have.
Mr. Galvin.
I'll start off with, we have 5 students that are in the SALT program, which is Sharks Aquaculture Life Training. And those 5 students, they're taught by Rachel Weatherington, who's also our ag and middle school science, so an FFA advisor. And this is kind of a local project that kind of started. And I found out on my way to Grad Bash, because I saw a Facebook post that she had passed the state aquaculture training deal. We'll come to find out how rigorous that test is to be one of those people. Well, not only is our teacher passed that, but we had 4 out of 5 of our students today got there, passed that, and we got one that is about 3 or 4 points away. So in 21 days, our other 4 are going to work with him and help him get that training. And they've Skyped back and forth. They've gone down to, I think it's Ruston, to the tropical fish place down there. So, and visited and trained. It's just a tip of the cap to Ms. Weatherington, Ms. Sue Colson, who is kind of a local force driving on that down there. So, and our superintendent. So just putting those resources, and Ms. Jones, our DeVos.
She's worked very hard.
All of them came together to work extremely hard, and that's something that our students there in Cedar Key, those 5 students should be commended on. It's a lot of hard work there. So, our strategic planning committee met also. I don't know if you've seen the Facebook post or you've got an email or something. There's a survey that's available tonight. So those of you that are parents of students, if you haven't, those of you that in fact have parents, look for it on your school Facebook pages, have them fill it out. It's open till midnight. Just like to try and get information on how they would like communication, whether it's by text, Facebook, social media, remind, a letter, an email, a phone call, whatever it may be, just so we can serve the needs of our parents and students to educate them on what's going on in our schools and what our students, how we can help them be successful. And then the last thing, I felt like we had a successful day in Tallahassee last Thursday, and on Wednesday had an opportunity to meet with Chris Doolin and kind of go through a briefing on some different things, what was going on there and the Senate, and they're getting ready to go into conferencing and how the budget is playing out. But also had the opportunity for the Education Commissioner to come and speak and took some questions. And it's interesting, a lot of, if you find out what a person's, what drives them. And so I wish we could have all heard him, so I don't want to try and see but he is very driven, he is very principled, and there were some interesting things that I think that behind the scenes we may have some opportunity to work with him to the benefit of our students. And we may not always get exactly what we want, but I think that there is some opportunities for us to have discussion and do better for our students and help them out. So, and we'll leave it at that.
And Chris has a shark tie on.
I do have, this shark tie was given to me by my board member right here, so I'm always on the lookout for an eagle tie, so, or, you know, an Indian, so, which I wouldn't have a tie for you, so, but be something with a W on it, so, block W, so. But, it was really interesting last week, and I appreciate, so, I know you had an engagement, I know you're backed up because of your job, and I appreciate you, so you do a lot of things behind the scenes, and I appreciate of that, so, but I felt like maybe Ms. Clemency was got a little bit of eye-opening for her, so, appreciate everybody, appreciate the superintendent being able to come up.
And we've had some follow-up conversations, even today, where Mom is giving Google about some different things we're working on, so it's good.
And I do need to reach out in all of our areas. Representative Stone is trying to work on internet access. So I'm going to have to ask you maybe what you pay at home and what other people kind of get a broad stroke in our home communities on what we pay for internet access. So, no. Thank you, sir.
I was going to say what a great trip we had in Tallahassee and meet with everybody and get the opportunity to speak with the senators, legislators, and the information that we received.
I appreciate it. I'm not won't speak a lot about Tallahassee. I appreciate your optimism and the work that we do, continue to do, and appreciate our board's patience working through the bureaucracy with Tallahassee. I guess when it's our time, once they finally see it the way we do, and it's not just a Levy County issue, maybe we can just get one of those push throughs that takes 3 minutes like some of those other bills are carrying. That's closer to their heart. So, you know, I'm gonna leave it right there. Appreciate Representative Stone. He's always a champion for us. I'll leave that right there. We had a pretty good deal this weekend in Williston. I know Mr. Greasy, and I talked several times on Friday because we did not have a clue what to expect on Saturday. But the alumni group in Williston hosted via the superintendent allowing, and then Blue Rock Group, who purchased the property, allowing. They checked in over 300 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so it started about 9, and I don't think it ever ended. It was supposed to be over about 1, but we had people show up with tools, get doorknobs, doors, piece of the gym floor, all kind of stuff. We found trophies from the 60s. I happened to go up on Friday just to check Mr. Breezy because they're in there trying to get all the stuff out of there. I mean, you don't think about it. There's scoreboards. There's, you know, a lot of stuff. People. And when I drove up, this is Levy County for you. There's no other school district in the whole world that would go up to this school and take the breezeway down behind the school. I drove about 100 times and I ain't thought about it. I go to Breezy goes, it's like $40,000 worth of breezeway. Which right, well, I hope I'm not overspending. Williston to like Bronson look better. We're sending our breezeway to Williston, Bronson L. The kids don't have to stand in the rain, but school bus anymore. It's not us, breezy in them. But really, what I'm saying is resourcefulness. Every school district in the world would let them push that down and pile it up.
I promise we'll keep it classy.
It's nice. It's not red, but
Hallelujah.
But we had a good time. I mean, it was, there's people, I don't know, discussion fact from, I spent 2.5 hours under the B building after they took the concrete saw and cut the front of it out looking for the time capsule that was supposed to have been put there in 1932. And I think there's somebody in heaven laughing at me for walking underneath that building. We ain't never find that thing again. And then there was supposedly another one in 1980. And if y'all want to see what the other side of the B building looks like, I have a lot of pictures. But we were unable to find any remnants of anything that looked like a time capsule.
Yeah, somebody asked me, they said, Brad, I think you put a concrete saw on Facebook.
Well, that was deceiving. I didn't ever touch a concrete saw. What's the man's name?
Tim.
I'll tell you what, that's a tough dude. He
Tim
stood
Delaney.
bent over for 30 minutes, never shut that saw until it ran out of gas, regassed, and went right back in. Anyway.
But you never found it?
No, we didn't find the time capsule, and we were supposed to know right where it was at. So, history tells you when we build a new school, or we put a time capsule in it, somewhere else put the directions of how to find the time capsule.
You hosted Blue Rock, and what was this, gathering to celebrate the school, or?
It was the walk the halls, so it was basically what they called it. It gave an opportunity to open the schools up, to walk the halls one last time before demolition happens.
On Saturday night?
Saturday morning at 9 o'clock it started and went to 1 or in the afternoon.
So Blue Rock was there, was their building?
I saw no one from Blue Rock there.
Oh, that was the most.
Blue Rock owns the property now. They were nice enough to let us have one more walkthrough, let the alumni come back and do a walkthrough.
Some of the people took items with memories or pieces of the school.
Yeah, auditorium seats back in the 80s, they sold nameplates to raise money. All those nameplates were in there. People were in there getting their families' nameplates off the chairs. I helped a man load the door from his homeroom class in the backseat of his car.
Is anyone going to, does anyone have an interest in the front sign, the Williston High School Red Devil sign? Is that just going to be what it is? No, I don't care.
I was asked the same question, but we have a really nice new sign in front of a new school that's named something different. You know, it's Williston Middle High School, not Williston High. It it was suggested to me by her, we should like put it in the back of the property or somewhere for display. Yeah. We have a nice new sign.
You had 300 people there?
Probably had a few, more than 300 people checked in the front door.
What piece of material or article did you get?
I got a piece of the gym floor, the whole gym floor. It's not the one that's there now. When they put the new gym floor down, they had made like a 6x6 as a block, red W, and someone brought the saw in sometime during the day and started cutting up the pieces for people to get. So that long tradition that we probably should move to the new school was scattered. I mean, the people that came from the Carolinas for this.
Really?
So it was more like a reunion than it was a walk the halls, because there really wasn't much left of the halls. It's just old. I had a lady go, I can't believe this school looks like this, and I go, that's the reason we built a new school. Because this one's built out.
Have they told you when they're going to tear it down?
I don't know any of that notion.
Working out, right there.
They were, from what I've been told, they were going in this week, start asbestos removal. But, you know, they really, that was just something relayed to us from Miss Cookie King. That's, at this point, it's theirs and they don't really have to, you know, they have been very helpful with us, so.
I think from this point, from the school district standpoint, if there was something to be, that you could, I think would be beneficial in the article would be that our opportunity was last Saturday. That's how they advertised, but we really don't need people. We don't own that property any longer, so we don't need people from the community of Bassett alumni in and around the property at all, because we don't own it. So it's time for Blue Rock to do what they're going to do with the property.
So Blue Rock knew you were going to have this big event and celebrate with that.
Well, we wrote him the contract. We had 30 days, I believe, is the way the contract written to remove.
Whatever you want.
Yes. But that's over. I mean, it's their property, and we had an opportunity to go put more tears in the hallway of all of our great memories in the building, and it's over with now. So I think I saw Ashley probably trying to.
Were there actually tours in the halls?
Yeah, so Judge Smith and several others from the alumni group would take groups off 8, 10, 12 at a time and go through as many people wanted to see the old cafeteria, and it amazed you what people wanted to see. Yeah. Gave it up.
I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, you can't do it with you, we're going to build on the same line.
Oh, well, never mind that gym walkthrough.
Oh,
The old gym.
all right. Any other comments, suggestions? Yes, sir.
I always ask this, but have you set the day yet? We're going to meet with the DOE about Chicopee High School. What's that,
What was the question?
Date with the DOE for the new school?
No, sir. Yeah, I don't have. No, I want to make another comment when he's finished.
Okay.
No, sir, I don't have that.
Totally unrelated. When you're ready.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note that we have another longtime employee in my department retiring. Gerald was not in my department. We worked hand in hand, and we surely don't miss him and his knowledge, but we have Wade Harris, who has been an electrician for us since 1990. We're going to have to hire probably 3 people to replace him. He's amazing at what he does, and he's put in a lot of not just time, but give a damn. You know, he'll show up at a school at 6 o'clock. I've seen him in Chiefland at 6 o'clock at a school just because they want to check something out. And hard to find employees like that.
Doing the hardest work people.
Here, here. So.
Thank you for bringing that, Reed. Any other comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. If there are no objections, we'll pass by general consent. Meeting adjourned.